You know, do your tweets hurt the company? Are there Tesla owners who say, I don't agree with his political position because, and I know it because he shares so much of it? Or are there advertisers on Twitter that Linda Yaccarino will come and say, you got to stop, man. Or, you know, I can't get these ads because of some of the things you tweet. Whoa, whoa. Wait for it. Here it comes. Almost there.
You know, I'm reminded of there's a scene in The Princess Bride. Great movie.
Great movie.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care. You want to share what you have to say.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Okay.
I don't care how much you pay me, because I got integrity. In fucking integrity. Ah! Ha
And you ain't black.
That's my bike, punk!
You got knocked the fuck out!
Oh, you want something too, old man? Huh?
No.
Hi, it's Luna, activist teacher here, and I just got done reading a book about racism.
Mother of God, I thought. Here it comes.
And did you guys know that going to the bathroom in a toilet and indoor plumbing is actually from white supremacy and colonialism?
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
So when the white colonists saw the indigenous, that they were digging holes and going to the bathroom outside, they said that that was more like animals, and the white colonists decided to have indoor plumbing and toilets to use the bathroom. And so I just want you to recognize that whenever you are using a toilet, you're basically paying homage to white supremacy and white colonists. There's a reason why the color of toilets are white.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Brent,
available.
And homelessness and all that.
And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume.
I'm kind of retarded.
I wanted to talk this week about preparedness and doing everything you can to get ready for the craziness we're no doubt about to see. I figured the first thing I should talk about is weapons, because it doesn't really matter how much food or water, you could have it stacked to the rafters, but you're gonna need a way to protect yourself from the hordes of zombies. And when I say zombies, I mean people that are living in La La Land thinking that everything is gonna be fine and there's no reason to worry, or God forbid, even get ready to deal with some kind of crisis. They're gonna get desperate, and desperate people tend to render desperate deeds. Now, you don't exactly have to go all out for something like this 50 caliber rifle. If you absolutely positively have to shoot through the engine block of a car or turn somebody into a pile of lasagna, this will do it. It's also about $10,000. In almost all cases, it'd be much more practical just to get yourself a good handgun and learn how to use it. And as far as ammo goes, if you don't have thousands of rounds, you probably don't have enough. And if, for whatever reason, you can't own one, make sure you at least have something like a good knife. Even something like a hammer. You'd be amazed at how quickly you can dispatch someone with a hammer. So that's the first thing. Just make sure you have a way to protect what you do have. And the next most important thing is going to be water. Dehydration will get you a lot faster than starvation will. So if something happens and all of a sudden that tap isn't pouring out water when you turn the handle, what are you gonna do? Do you even have a plan? This is gonna be an even bigger concern if you live out in the desert Southwest, but it's a concern no matter where you are because, like I said, it'll be the first thing to take you out. Having some of those 5-gallon jugs of water is a good idea, but that's not gonna last you as long as you think it will. The best bang for your buck, if you can afford it, is going to be a quality water filter. And I'm not talking about one of those bullshit Brita or Pures that you get from Wally World or Target. This is the one that I use. It's a couple $100. I've had it more than 5 years, no problems, and it filters out everything from chlorine down to glyphosate, which is notoriously difficult to get out of water. And you'd be surprised at just how few regulations there are on these bottled waters that you buy in the store. They're basically given carte blanche, that as long as it isn't provably making people sick, they leave them the fuck alone. But whatever is the best fit for your particular situation, just make sure you have a plan for water. And the next consideration, of course, is going to be food. Food prices have gone up a hell of a lot in the past year or so, especially if you're talking about any kind of meat or dairy products. If prices continue to go up, we reach that point where a lot of people can't even afford to feed themselves. And when that happens, what do you think you're going to see? Yeah, there's probably going to be stores getting looted, and then how motivated do you think those stores are going to be to replenish their stock? And this is going to be a matter where you basically have to just do what your budget allows you. A lot of people might think, oh, wow, I'm too poor to be able to stockpile any kind of food. But you would be wrong. If you're that poor, you qualify for SNAP assistance, and contrary to what a lot of people seem to think, you don't have to waste all that on potato chips and junk food. Even if you make just enough money to not qualify for EBT, but you're still basically poor, there are things that you can get that are not that expensive. Pick up some big bags of rice, different kinds of beans. There's a reason why those were staples in a lot of cultures. People can survive for quite a long time on simply rice and beans alone. And there are other things like a bag of flour, learn to make hardtack, even some pancake mix. These are just the basics, but there are lots of things that have a long, stable shelf life, high caloric value, and are still relatively very cheap. If you've got a little bit more money in your budget to play with, you could start thinking about some things like those cans of chunked chicken breast, or the pulled pork, or other kind of canned meats, even Spam if you can handle it. I don't know why people get so down on Spam. It's not that bad. Especially if food gets scarce, there's no sauce in the world like hunger. And next you want to take all this food and pack it inside of one of these big Rubbermaid totes. Most people have these around their house. Your best bet, to take the one you've got your Christmas decorations in, pack it in there, and leave the Christmas decoration label on, stick it in the bottom of a closet with a bunch of shit on top, and pack a few of the Christmas decorations inside the tote, so if anybody just takes a peek inside, it looks like it's just full of Christmas decorations. You get the idea? Just try to camouflage it a little bit and don't make it obvious where your supplies are. You're also going to need some kind of emergency stove to cook these supplies with, since your electric or gas stove isn't going to be working. Now, whether this is a propane, a butane, alcohol stove, or even a little wood-burning rocket stove, make sure you have the capability to cook the food that you're storing up. And now some of the other considerations you're going to want to think about are things like candles, batteries for flashlight, basically all the things that you would want to have around in case there was going to be an extended blackout and you knew that you weren't going to have electricity for, say, the next month. And once you get to the point where you feel comfortable that you could bunker in at your house and not have to basically leave at all, well, that's step one. And at that point, you'll be noticing a sense of relief that at the very least, you're not going to be completely assed out if something does go wrong. But this is more of a the journey is the destination sort of thing. You're never going to reach a point where you're too prepared, and you can make it sort of a little side mission that at the end of every week, you want to be a little bit better off, a little bit more well prepared than you were at the end of last week. And at some point, if you have the budget for it, you can start thinking about a generator, whether that be gasoline or solar, and other little luxuries that'll make life less hideous when this coming crisis hits. And it is coming. It could be 2 years from now, it could be 2 weeks from now, but no matter what your budget level is, you've got no excuse for doing nothing to get ready for it. Please consider liking, subscribing, sharing this video, or leaving a comment. Because every time you do nothing, Vladimir Putin will shoot another puppy. And of course, the war machine in Europe has kept grinding on. Just over a week ago, the Russians hit a major ammo depot, and it was likely full of depleted uranium because the background radiations of gamma spiked up right after it. And because depleted uranium usually emits a pretty low dose of gamma, it seemed this was a pretty big fucking stockpile. And then in the wake of this, the Russians unleashed a barrage of missiles on Kiev, and it appears as though one of the billion-dollar Patriot missile systems we sent to them got hit. Of course, the US is being really tight-lipped about exactly what the extent of the damage is, trying to downplay it. At first they were trying to say that it wasn't even damaged at all, then they copped to, well, yeah, it got damaged, but it's okay. Meanwhile, the Ukrainians had tried to pretend like they had stopped every single missile the Russians had sent. The very idea that they would have shot down the hypersonic ones, though, because they sent like 4 different kinds of missiles. But those hypersonic ones, it's like trying to shoot a bullet with another bullet in midair. But we're getting to that point where we're running out of small escalations before we reach that full-scale war stage, so with where we are now, I wouldn't be surprised to see a major attack on Russian soil maybe this week. And then, who knows? And we've also got the continuing migration invasion going on down on the southern border. And we got a little taste of it down here in my neck of the woods when this past week 15 Chinese migrants came ashore from a boat. This was in Sunny Isles Beach, which is just north of Miami, and probably the boat came from the Bahamas. And they caught 10 of the 15, 5 of them got away, and who knows what happened to them. And even down here where it was local news, it got very, very little attention. And even the larger Title 42 ending border surge story only lasted about 3 days. They're trying to act like, oh well, the surge has basically subsided. But it hasn't. It continues. And the masses of people that are gathering for the next surges down in South and Central America, they're still ramping up. And now we also have to be on the lookout for some Oklahoma City-style shenanigans. And if you don't know what I mean by that, I recently came across this little 4-minute breakdown that's about the best condensed version I've ever seen.
Are you the Oklahoma City bomber?
Maybe one of the benefits of me talking to you today is that you'll see that maybe not everything is true that you've heard about me.
On the morning of April 19, 1995, a decorated Gulf War combat vet blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City using a truck bomb that he didn't build in a Ryder truck that he didn't rent with the help of a passenger who didn't exist. Having just gotten away with the largest act of terrorism on U.S. soil to date, the Fort Bragg-trained Special Forces Sheep Drip Dropout blended in with the crowd by making his getaway in a car without a license plate and was immediately pulled over. The ATF was the supposed target of the attack, but luckily all of their agents were out of the office that morning. Later that day, the president boldly declared,
"We will find the people who did this.
And
when we do, justice will be swift, certain, and severe."
Except for
John Doe number 2.
John Doe number 2.
John Doe number 2.
Who, according to the FBI, never existed. In McVeigh's unprecedented 3.5-week trial, the prosecution didn't show the CCTV footage of him and John Doe number 2 parking the Ryder truck. Didn't explain why 24 separate witnesses mass hallucinated the existence of John Doe number 2. Didn't explain why the government was testing truck bombs and the Army was storing Ryder trucks at Camp Gruber right before the bombing. And didn't talk to the FBI informants who blew the whistle on the plot. But they did collaborate with the CIA, and they did convict McVeigh as the lone wolf bomber and Terry Nichols as his bomb-constructing accomplice. Still, a bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists, including 300 bombing victims, insist on talking about facts and evidence and refuse to simply believe what they've been told a million times by people in tailored suits with well-coiffed hair. They quote the U.S. Army Brigadier General and the FBI crime lab whistleblower and the inventor of the neutron bomb who point out the physical impossibility that the Ryder truck bomb did the damage to the building, but that doesn't matter because if there were other bombs in the building that day, we would have heard about them.
The second explosive was found and defused. I think he said another bomb.
The Justice Department is reporting that a second explosive device has been found.
They then found a third device, which was also larger than the first.
And I see another bomb truck going, so apparently they're going to try to get out that third bomb.
The FBI claims to have lost the footage showing McVeigh and John Doe number 2 parking the truck in front of the Murrah building that morning, but that's understandable because the Bureau has a lot of important evidence to store. Terry Nichols insists the FBI was involved in the plot, but thankfully a judge has saved us the trouble of listening to him by preventing lawyers from deposing him. There was a bomb squad truck parked across the street 2 hours before the blast, but that just shows the authorities were prepared for anything. And
other documents obtained by 2020 show that someone called the Executive Secretariat's office at the Justice Department in Washington and said the Morrow building had been bombed. But this was 24 minutes before the blast.
But that just shows the public was unusually vigilant that morning. Also,
apparently, before the bombing, Governor Frank Keating's brother, Mark, had been working on a novel about a terrorist bombing in Oklahoma City. Stranger still, one of the characters in the novel was named Thomas McVeigh.
But that's probably just a coincidence. McVeigh wrote a letter to his sister where he admitted to being a secret Special Forces operative, and he complained to friends of the pain in his ass from an Army-implanted microchip, but that's crazy, because if he didn't actually leave the Army in 1991, there would be proof of that. McVeigh was not executed on May 16, 2001 as scheduled because
the FBI had failed to turn over thousands of pages of evidence to McVeigh's defense attorneys.
But the execution went ahead on June 11th. In a highly unusual and secret agreement, no autopsy was performed. One witness said he was still breathing, and the prison officials admitted his hearse was a decoy. Then, the case was officially closed. And if you question any part of this story, you are a paranoid wingnut birther, truther, tenther, prepper conspiracy loon who'd bring up any of these points ever again. Ever. This message has been brought to you by the friends of the FBI, ATF, DOJ, CIA, SPLC, MSM, and the U.S. Army. And remember, ignorance is strength.
Would you like to know more?
There's a really good documentary on this if you really want to take a deep dive called A Noble Lie. It's definitely worth watching. But the reason why I bring this up is because we just had a rail car going from Wyoming to California turn up with 30 tons of ammonium nitrate. Just vanished off of it. This is supposedly what did all the damage in Oklahoma City, even though the evidence points to other bombs, probably C4. But regardless, this is a shitload of ammonium nitrate to just go missing. So where's it gonna end up? When I saw this story, it definitely gave me one of those queasy feelings in my stomach, so if you're gonna be out and about, I'd keep your eye open for any kind of weird-ass yellow Ryder trucks. Sláinte.
All I have in this world is my thoughts and my words, and I don't break them for no one. So say good night to the bad guy. 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 I told you! Don't fuck with me! I told you! Don't fuck with me! You stupid fuck! Look at you now! Look at you now!